Welcome to Conversations on the Coast, the Bay Area's premier author interview program. And today we are joined by an author who has provided us with a memoir the likes of which you have never seen. It is called The Burn Zone. It is published by She Writes Press, and the author who is with us in the studio today, Renee Linnell. Welcome.
Thank you, Jim. It's so nice to be here.
You know, in reading your book, you mentioned many times that you spend significant time each year in California, but you never mentioned San Francisco that I can remember. It seems to me you're a Southern California person.
I am a Southern California person. I love to surf, so I prefer warmer water.
Oh, that's true. I mean, this water, never mind this water up here. There is a point early in the book where you list jobs you have had. And usually when we have an author on and it's kind of like the first book, although in your case it isn't, there's, like 2 lines and it says, gone here and there to college and in a master's in writing program, and this is her first book. Well, here it says, until this point in life, my professional careers had been massage therapist, bikini and surf model, personal trainer for about a day, never mind, I'm not going to ask about that, an Argentine tango dancer with brief stints as a booze cruise ticket salesperson, a barista, and a cliff diver in Hawaii. I had never had a corporate job, and the idea of it intimidated me. I didn't believe I was capable. Plus, I had the added pressure of wanting to do things perfectly for Lakshmi. Wow. That's a very interesting life you've had.
It is a very interesting life, yes.
Is it the kind of thing that people who have no, quote, profession fall into out here?
I don't know.
In this part of the world?
I have no idea. I just know for me, I wasn't comfortable being put in a box, and the conventional life didn't seem like it would fit me. And so I kept following everything that I loved.
And as it came.
Yes.
Yeah. You love surfing, that's for sure.
Yes.
Wow. And then the book is called The Burn Zone, a memoir. Now, you give several definitions of the burn zone. The most inadequate, I think, is the one where you say that the burn zone is that place in the auditorium when Lakshmi is speaking or presenting where you're as close as you can get.
Yes.
That's the burn zone.
Yes.
Give me another definition.
Well, another definition, as I went through this journey, I realized that when we live a life that's not authentically ours, if we're lucky, life comes along and shatters us. And in that shattering, we're able to find, if we stick with it and we endure the crucible, we come out the other side more authentic and softer and kinder and more true to who we are. Mm-hmm. And so for me, that was the burn zone as well.
Excellent. Now, the other thing is that all of those jobs that you had that we just listed paid you money. And at an early point in your story, at least as it's told in this book, you decided you'd work for no money.
Correct.
And I, at that point, thought, well, she's crazy.
Yes.
I mean, here she is living in places like California and working for no money. It makes no sense.
Yes, but
what happened to you? What happened to your common sense?
It was selfless service to the guru. And I had been reading these books about these saints in India, like Sri Ramakrishna, who was cleaning latrines with his hair to sand down his ego.
I've never done that.
And so in my mind, trying to become saint-like and enlightened, I was willing to do this selfless service to the guru. And I thought that the more intense my ego was and the more I needed to change, the more service I had to do. So as she increased my responsibilities, I was happy to continue serving.
And at the same time, you write, something else is going on. You are giving up your power.
Yes.
Why is that part of that process?
Well, I realize that those of us that are seeking and searching, tend to be more sensitive, and we tend to have more self-doubt. And so we're desperate to find a place where we belong and a tribe of like-minded individuals. And so when we find that, we're so desperate to be accepted and to be loved and not abandoned that we do give our power away. And in fact, I realize we give our power away anytime we let anyone else tell us who we are or make what others think about us more important than what we think about ourselves.
And you went from doing lots of what I would call interesting jobs, if not challenging, to doing menial stuff like buying the groceries, making the bed, doing the wash. It sounds like the activities of nuns in the religion you cast aside, the Roman Catholic,
Yes.
is what it sounds like.
Yes, and it was. And I was so fortunate that I was raised in a wealthy family, and I had this dream life, traveling the world as a model and a professional dancer, and yet I still felt this emptiness inside. And there was no dialogue out there really about people who, quote, have everything and still feeling like something's missing. And so because I had been raised in a wealthy family doing all of this, and my father always made me clean up after myself and make the bed and do my laundry, but serving someone else in this way, I thought was such a good opportunity for me to learn a different way of being humble.
That's a special kind of person, a person who finds major fulfillment, if you'll forgive the expression, in serving others. That's a special person.
Yes.
And that's why I got mad while reading the book several times. And when we come back, I'm going to tell you all out there why I got mad.
Okay.
Stay tuned.
You're listening to Conversations on the Coast with Jim Foster. Now you can find this program on iTunes, SoundCloud, and all your favorite digital outlets. Follow the show on Twitter at JimFosterCoc and email jimfostercoc@gmail.com.
We are honored today to have in the studio Renee Linnell, who's here to talk about her memoir, which is called The Burn Zone. After I read it, I thought of many nice things that I could say about Renee and about the book. And one thing angered me, and it stuck with me. And that was, or is, the way that you're treated in the book by Vishnu. He deserves to be flogged, in my opinion. To say that he was taking advantage of you is to so understate the case that it's awful. And the guy in New York, what's his name?
Hiroto.
Yeah, ain't much better.
No.
And you just really want to wring their necks because there are too many of them around. You know, one of them is now on the Supreme Court of the United States.
Right.
Who's, one of whose goals in life is to abuse women in one way or another. So, but again, he was part of the package.
Yes.
What was he supposedly doing? Could you ever tell? I mean, aside from walking around with his large chest.
I don't know what he was doing. I think that my spiritual teacher was in love with him and wanted to keep him around as her boyfriend. I didn't know that he was her boyfriend when I started my relationship with him, which again was more selfless service, I thought, to the guru. I'll never understand what he was thinking or doing. But what I did learn is that we teach people how to treat us. And
I'm sorry, what?
We teach people how to treat us.
Uh-huh.
And I, as a young woman, allowed myself to be treated terribly by these two men. And I realized on the other side that I needed to beat myself up in that way to learn self-love. And by going through such an intense crucible of sorts with these two men, I realized I will never, ever let anybody treat me badly again. And I will never date a man that doesn't cherish me. And to come out the other side with such strong conviction on that was worth the experience.
Let's talk about a man who treated you, in my opinion, with respect. A relatively speaking, minor character, Bruno.
Bruno, yes.
Bruno. Tell us I want to hear about a good guy in your life.
Bruno is one of my best friends and like a brother.
Good. Congratulations. I support that.
Thank you. And he joined this group because of me. He did not take it as seriously as I did. He enjoyed meditating. He enjoyed working on the security team. He enjoyed learning about Buddhism, but he dipped in and out just for fun.
Surfer, was he not?
He was a surfer also, yes. And he was always there for me as things fell apart.
True.
Yes.
True. Several spots in the book where there ain't nobody that you can reach out to except, boom, comes Bruno.
Yes.
It's like, boom, silver, on riding in on silver, like the Lone Ranger of old.
Yes.
Thank God for him.
Thank God for Bruno.
Yeah, yeah. In a sense, your story is the story of the cult leadership. So let's meet them.
Okay.
Let's first talk about Lakshmi, Lakshmi. That's the woman.
Yes.
Is she the pinnacle, the top?
She is, yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And tell us about Lakshmi.
Well, Lakshmi, so I had never been to a meditation seminar, and I was expecting an older woman with long gray hair and a white robe and mala beads playing spa music. Yeah. And I got to the seminar late, and this woman walked in, and she was a young woman with long dark hair and wearing a black business suit that was expensive and tailor fit and stiletto heels. And she introduced herself. Hello, I'm Lakshmi. Let's meditate. And then she put on music from The Matrix.
Hello, I'm Lakshmi. Let's meditate.
Yes.
What's the way to get started?
Yes.
Yeah, I like that.
And I didn't know that much about meditation. So she turned on this loud music, and I closed my eyes. And instantly I felt this energy uncoil at the base of my spine and shoot up through the top of my head. And everything went white. And the world disappeared, and I disappeared, and I was being held, it felt like, by the hands of God, this incredible peace and silence and warmth and love. And I realized this is what I had spent my entire life searching for. And I didn't care who she was, and I didn't care what she said, but I realized I was sticking around. And
because you were caught up in the
peace,
excitement, the peace.
The peace I felt inside my mind, yes. Yeah. It was like all the saints and mystics talk about. It's called samadhi, this pristine state of mind that apparently is our natural state of mind. And then she went on to explain, as if that experience wasn't enough to keep me hooked, she went on to explain that in the East, people have these beautiful spiritual practices, but they live in poverty. And in the West, people have these really strong careers and make a lot of money, but they're soul sick. And so what she was teaching was to sharpen our minds through meditation and then use our career, every moment in our career as our offering to the divine, because we spend so much time at work each day.
So work harder, make more money than
Yes.
you ever made before, quit that job, go to a higher paying job under her tutelage and direction.
Yes.
And things are going to be wonderful.
And give back to the world through philanthropy. And so I thought, okay, I never had a strong mother figure. My father died when I was 15. I never really had parental guidance after 15 years old. And here was this woman who was not only going to teach me how to live in peace, but she was also going to teach me how to have a fabulous career.
What more could I want?
Exactly.
My goodness. And off you went.
And off I went.
Off you went. Well, let's jump past Vishnu to Hiroto.
Okay.
Because Hiroto comes into your life later. You're now in New York, away from the West Coast. And this guy is great at karate instruction.
Yes.
And you decide to go into business with him.
Yes.
He ain't got a nickel.
Exactly.
Yeah, and you got the money, and he takes you for all you're worth.
Yes, a lot
Not
of it.
just financially.
Right.
Not just financially, but spiritually.
Right.
Psychologically,
Right.
and so on. And you put all the money in, and he calls you up on the phone and says, "You owe me $58,000. I need it right away."
Right.
Another fine choice of a man.
And what happens when we no longer listen to our own intuition and internal guidance? And that was where I was at this point in the path.
Okay. We're going to get to a good place in this young woman's life. Trust me. We'll be back soon.
You're listening to Conversations on the Coast with Jim Foster. Now you can find this program on iTunes, SoundCloud, and all your favorite digital outlets. Follow the show on Twitter at Jim Foster COC and email jimfostercoc@gmail.com.
The Burn Zone, a memoir. That's our topic of thought and discussion today. We are pleased to have with us the author, Renee Linnell, and we recall with pride it's published by She Writes Press. One of the better new names in publishing, I would say. I want to go back just for a short time to the guy I hate the most, Vishnu. How does a guy who's so screwed up and nasty and angry and abusive become second in command in a cult? Does he have money?
You know, that's a great question. And I think that a lot of cults are actually led by narcissists. And I think that there's an interesting combination between narcissists that crave power and devotion, and then wounded soul seekers that crave some sort of father figure or spiritual leader. Mm-hmm. And because I was one of them, don't believe in ourselves, then when we end up at the feet of somebody who tells us we're not good enough and that they can show us how to be like them, we just let them do it. And again, what I learned is it's self-love to stay away from narcissists. But there are a lot of narcissists out there that really do prey on that particular wound in the human psyche. And that's how he ended up where he was.
And the problem for you or persons on the other end of that relationship is that they get disliked also.
Right.
I was, ready to tell you where to go also.
Right. Thank you.
How dumb can you be?
Right, exactly.
Over and over and over again, the same behavior.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah. It's a sad, sad situation.
It is.
It really, really is. One of the most difficult parts of your journey, I think, must have been coming back from where you were to where you now wanted to be. And you needed a new mantra. And the mantra is, this will turn out better than I can possibly imagine. I don't know how, but I know it will. And that kind of shoved you down the right direction?
It did, because I realized that I did have tremendous faith. And if I had faith in something greater than myself, then I had to believe that everything was unfolding the way it was meant to. And I had to believe that I would find my way out of this and that I had gone through this intense shattering of my life for a reason. And so I chanted that mantra to myself constantly.
That's a very difficult thing to live the truth that what's happening to you is your life. And whether it's bright or dark, it's yours. And in order to do anything with it, enjoyable, progressive, you have to own it.
Yes.
Even if it stinks for a while.
Yes, and I believe we do have to pay our dues, because I know I was self-righteous, judgmental, opinionated. I thought I knew everything about everything. Even though I was seeking, I thought my opinions and my views of the world were cast iron and right, and everyone else was wrong. And after I went through this, I realized we really have no idea what's going on, and we have no idea what's going on with other people. And so this whole experience made me just much more open-minded and kinder and more compassionate, because I thought, my gosh, if I could get brainwashed and let these people do terrible things to me, anybody can do anything. And so I really did come out the other side kinder and really grateful for everything I went through, even though when I was going through it, I was suicidal. It was that bad.
I was just thinking that there's one experience, one talent that you have where there is no compromise, and that is the Argentine tango.
Yes.
At one of the lowest points in your life, tango saves you.
It did. Yeah.
Amazing.
Yes, and another thing I discovered as I went through this is we have these joys inside of us, the things in life that bring us joy, and they're unique to us and for us, and they make our hearts sing. And when we turn to those things, especially when life gets bad, It doesn't matter what other people out there are doing or not doing. We have these things that bring us so much joy.
The necessity to, before you go crazy, look within.
Yes.
See what's there, appreciate it, and try to build on that rather than on somebody else's, quote, suggestions, unquote.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would like you to share with us the words that end the book.
Okay.
Could you do that?
Yes. Graduation?
Yeah.
Chapter 38? Okay.
Yes, the taxi ride.
Okay. So this is chapter 38, graduation. May 19th, 2015. I sit in the back seat of a taxi, bumping along FDR Drive on the east side of Manhattan. I have just landed at LaGuardia Airport and am on my way to a hotel in Soho. A huge smile spreads across my face. I did it. I effing did it. I, Renee Linnell, ex-professional dancer and bikini model, have just graduated from the Executive Masters in Business Administration program at NYU Stern. I cannot believe it. As the taxi rattles along in rush hour traffic and the hot, humid air from the open window hits me in the face, I realize it was all worth it. I lean back into the dirty leather seat and look at the river. I feel peace. I feel a deep, deep peace all the way to the depths of my soul. And I feel joy. I feel overwhelming joy. And I feel a sense of accomplishment I cannot describe. Tomorrow, I, along with over 8,000 other graduates, will walk into Yankee Stadium dressed in purple. I close my eyes, overcome with gratitude. I am incredibly grateful. Grateful at long last to be returning to the entirety of myself. Grateful to be finally rising from the ashes like a phoenix. I'm turning the page. Shoot. I hold this vision in my mind, a phoenix, large, graceful, powerful, rising from the ashes in victory, wings spread wide, chest arched and open, head held high, unashamed, unafraid, My skin tingles with goosebumps. I feel stronger than I have ever felt, more grateful than I have ever felt, and free.
Thank you very much, Renee, for sharing in a very personal way a most personal book. I think you've written it in a way that is accessible to anyone, and you have, in a sense, fulfilled the mission I believe you had when you sat down to write it, to try and help people who might be going through the same kind of course, the same kind of journey as you experienced. And you offer yourself as a reference, a guide, and a source of hope. The Burn Zone is the title of the book. It's a memoir and more. The author, Renee Linnell, has been with us on Conversations on the Coast.
Now you can find this program on iTunes, SoundCloud, and all your favorite digital outlets. Follow the show on Twitter at Jim Foster COC and email jimfostercoc@gmail.com.